So Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3, the third fight, the trilogy. Oh, here we go. Can Tyson Fury finally finish Deontay Wilder off? Will Tyson Fury manage to put that final nail in the coffin where there's no more questions? Is Deontay Wilder going to resurrect himself, come back from the dead, and put on a biblical performance that may shock the world? So in this short video, we're going to be looking at why this.
I only won the second fight because I cheated.
This.
If I only won because I cheated, what was the point in changing everything?
And this.
Continue him for 13 years. Continue him for 13 years. Continue him for 13 years.
Could be all you need to know to find out that actually this fight could be won not by these, but by this in here. The cerebral state, the belief patterns, the thoughts and feelings that collectively we label as confidence, or in Deontay Wilder's case, maybe it's a lack of.
Continue him for 13 years.
Nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this at all, but that's because they aren't believing Bruce, all right? So if you're interested in anything to do with performance psychology, body language, anything to do with the head and heart to help you make you a better version of yourself, then take 2 seconds to subscribe below, show the channel some love, all right? Give us a like, and for the algorithm and my own interest, all right? Comment below as well. Have you got the confidence that Deontay Wilder might be lacking to put down below your predictions and why? Who's going to win and why? That's what I'm looking for. Have some conviction and comment below. And this is an interesting one. All right, thinking, feeling, acting, thinking, feeling, fighting, thinking, feeling, doing. All right, performance psychology. There are numerous things here that are screaming, all right, screaming out from Deontay Wilder that I would have loved to just dig that little bit deeper had I been the one interviewing him. Yeah, had I been the one noticing these little tells. And I will explain why I believe his fingertips, all right, by his fingertips, Deontay Wilder is clinging to what little confidence he has. Remember, I'm not biased towards Fury or Wilder. I'm just presenting the data, and the data is what I will prove to you here. But why I believe he's clinging by his fingertips, why he's making up these cognitive rituals, why he's making up these belief bands to try and convince himself he's got a chance. Because some of them are just outlandish, but what we're going to be doing is going to look at the body language. What is the body language giving off? Why is that presenting itself? And what thought patterns, what emotion, what hormonal interactions has resulted in that body language presenting itself at that particular moment, the T-junction as we call it. So I've had a great week. What I would like to do is show you a photo. That's why I'm a little bit happy. That's why I've a little bit, obviously I've got energy as usual, all right? But this week I met a global, iconic figure from the fight world. Sorry, I got my photographs mixed up. That's just me and Joe Weller, who was also at the event. But this is me in GSP, Georges St-Pierre. Yeah, the Hall of Famer. If you're into UFC or if you're a fight fan, you will absolutely know who this guy is. And I've got to give thanks here for Love Hemp, yeah, CBD company, for inviting me and Joe down to meet with Joe. Had Sunday lunch with GSP. Just stop there, think about that for a second. Yeah, just stop and think about that for a second. Having Sunday lunch with GSP. It's just surreal, isn't it? Yeah, and I forced myself upon him years ago. I read GSP's book, The Way of the Fight. And there's loads of interesting psychological data in there and ideas and rituals and processes that he went through to help him prepare as best he thought for the fight. So there was no way I wasn't going to, I had taken that opportunity to just say, hey Georges, I'm Bruce, just sit down, son, me and you's going to have a crack here. And I did, I got a few minutes with him just going back and forward about some of the things that I noticed in the book, and he gave me a little insight in some of his rituals. So thank you very much for Love Hemp. Love Hemp is the company, guys and girls, in case you don't know. They are the CBD partner of the UFC. And this is what I'm really interested in the Fury Wilder trilogy. Because when they had their second fight, and I pride myself on this, I'm going to big myself up here, right? I was one of the few people who said Fury's going to stop Wilder. Now what was going on here, why probably the majority of the world, or at least the boxing fans across the globe, were saying, oh no, Wilder's going to stop him. It's because you were scared of Wilder's right hand. Yeah? You're not Tyson Fury. You haven't been conditioned like he is. You haven't been exposed to hundreds of amateur fights. All of the pro fights, all of the sparring rounds, etc. All of the ring walks, all right? You haven't been exposed to that. Your amygdala hasn't had time to adjust to that. Your fight or flight, your sensitivity to that, all right? You simply haven't been exposed to it, as neither have I. But that's what we go through, all right? We were saying that we were scared of Wilder, but when you looked at the data, He couldn't stop Fury when Fury was, let's just say, a shell of a man. So why would you even go for, remember, logic should always reign over emotion when you're making decisions here. Yeah, why would you say that anything different would happen within the second fight when it proved a worse version of Tyson Fury, yeah, done what he done? But what I really want to look at here is a thing called imposter syndrome, all right? Imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, there's many variations of how to explain it, but it's essentially when you don't feel like the version of you is good enough, or when you feel like you need to be somebody else in order, or like adopt a different character, in order for you to have permission to behave in the way you want, in order for you to feel accepted, that psychosocial need to fit in with the group. And look at the friends that you've got. Look at the people who you interact with. Let's just say work colleagues versus friends, maybe childhood friends. You'll adopt different personas, yeah, different attitudes. You may even use different language because of the imposter syndrome, because you want to fit in. It's a psychosocial need. You know, we need to do it, self-preservation, pay the mortgage bills, keep the cave over our head, yeah? That's essentially why we do it. But for me, what's really interesting here is the persona, the imposter syndrome of the bronze bomber. Where is it? Where is the bronze bomber? It was present, this thing, this label, yeah, this caricature, this act that Deontay Wilder told us about. You know, when it comes to fight week, I just change. And it's like I'm possessed, and you know, this bronze bomber thing comes into my body, and way. And we saw it with Radio Raheem.
You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day.
But I said in the second, for the video on the second fight, it's a behavioural ritual. What Deontay Wilder was doing is he lacks confidence to display those behaviours that he feels he has permission to display when he's the bronze bomber. It's a permission giver. It's an authorization. It's something that he uses to play with his inner voice. You know, so when he starts writing off rhetoric and different phraseology and sort of the story or the aggressive paragraphs that he used to throw out, and, you know, how he used to intimidate people, you can ask yourself, well, why didn't he feel comfortable just to do that as Deontay Wilder? Why did he have to bring this thing called the bronze bomber? The reason why, it's a cognitive ritual. It's a permission giver. Yeah, he feels better do it. And when you notice that, you actually think, well, okay, the reason why he has to do that, he hasn't got enough confidence to do it as himself. That's really important from a performance psychological perspective, yeah? That's really important to notice. Because if you haven't got enough confidence and you need to do certain things, then if your opponent notices that gap, if your opponent notices that crack, then that's something that they can expose. But where is the bronze bomber now? Fury asked a really good question at the end. We're going to get in the body language in a second here, all right? But Fury asked a really good question. Well, if I cheated, why have you changed everything? Why have you got rid of your trainers? Why are you doing, you know, you're training differently? Big question that I've got is his confidence. Yeah, and I believe his confidence is shattered. I believe Deontay Wilder is one of the best examples of what you call an on-top fighter. They thrive on confidence. They thrive on doing well, and, you know, on people giving them the feedback that they need. This fight's going to be really interesting, because what we see here in the press conference, all right, is a number of behavioural clusters and a number of displays of Deontay Wilder's lack of confidence. I'm going to explain how we can link the two, all right? This is not fact or fiction, this is fact. So the first bit of evidence that we've got here, all right, is the Pinocchio touch, right? Now, in context, all right, in context, when you ask somebody a question, or when someone is stimulated by external stimuli, that may be someone's narrative that they're playing, or an internal stimuli, like a thought that you've had, okay, it can create the nose touch. Yeah, we've talked about this on many videos. Again, it could indicate a lie, all right? It could indicate a lie, but it definitely, without doubt, indicates that I am uncomfortable at this right now, all right, right now. So we've got Tyson Fury saying, hey, this is the Tyson Fury Roadshow now. So that word's hit Deontay Wilder's system, all right? He has a couple of seconds to process it. You'll see him looking down at the foot, and then he touches his nose.
No matter if it's Deontay Wilder or whoever it may be, it doesn't really matter to me, because it's a Tyson Fury Roadshow. It's been continuing for 13 years. Continuing for 13 years. Continuing for 13 years.
That ego, all right, that ego, because he's always been the top dog. The fact is that Tyson Fury is now the top dog, and what we get here is Deontay Wilder looking very uncomfortable. The first bit of body language, all right, one of the most powerful examples that we can see ever. He does it almost immediately, that nose touch. Now also, we know that Deontay Wilder's threw many accusations out at Tyson Fury. Yeah, from having lead hands, from hitting him with a hammer over the head, from, you know, for putting sleeping time. I'm just making them up here for add a little bit of humour. But there's been numerous, alright, there has been numerous examples, went off on a bit of tangent there, yeah, of bullshit excuses. That, you know, that is generally what I believe. So the interviewer here asked Deontay Wilder, do you regret any of them? She puts him, you know, under a little bit of pressure. That limbic system kicks in, the information. And what he says is, no, I don't regret it, but watch the leg rub. Watch, now, he just doesn't get in it, and he's not even itching his leg. This is a self-soothe. Now, Deontay Wilder is either telling himself that A, I don't believe it, yeah, B, I have been lying, or C, he's trying to create that narrative to help him get out of that pit, to actually say there may be a better chance of me beating Fury because I believe that he did cheat. But watch the leg rub.
Between the two of you, after the second fight, it feels like that has been lost somewhat. Deontay, there were many accusations that you made towards Tyson about reasons that you felt that he had won that fight, ways that you felt that he had cheated. Do you regret any of the accusations that you made towards him?
I don't regret it, and I go to my grave believing in what I believe in.
Also, this is a really interesting one. He's talking about the accusations. He says, the eyes don't lie. But some people lie, they lie, but the eyes don't lie. Actually, we do. The eye lies. The eyes lie all of the time. And what I mean by that is we've got a little thing here called the ladder, all right? The ladder, the fact or fiction ladder. And that is that sometimes we don't understand that we're convincing ourselves that this, you know, fictional reality is just made up in our own heads. We're creating the end. You'll have done it. Yes, somebody doesn't send you, or you send somebody a text message on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and they don't get back to you. The only fact that you've got at the bottom of your ladder, the only fact that you've got is they haven't got back to you. But we don't stop there. We will start to fill in the gaps and slowly climb up our ladder, creating a reality. We all do this, you, me, everybody. All right? So we'll create a reality that when we start to believe it, we start to believe that reality that we have created. Oh, well, they haven't got back to me because they don't like me, they don't find me funny, they don't fancy me, they fancy somebody else, whoosh! Yeah, we're a way up the ladder. So actually, what Wilder's saying is the eyes don't lie. He's created a narrative in his head that could be fact or could be fiction. Based on the fact that no charges or no anything like that's been brought against Fury, you would err towards that he's just made it up and he's got no proof of it. Yeah, but he's had to create something in his head that he saw or he's thought about, and the narrative is, well, this must be true now. But what we've got is a brilliant example, all right, of Deontay Wilder saying, actually, I'm a normal human with a head and a heart, and I've created a reality in my head. I've got up my ladder, all right, but now I've actually believed it. Yeah, I've believed it. I've got evidence, whatever it may be. Well, you haven't. Yeah, this is how fragile Deontay Wilder's belief system is, especially when it comes to confidence.
Which, you know, one thing about it, you know, men lie, women lie, but your eyes don't lie what you see, you know. So many people can believe what they want. We're all human. We believe what we want, but the eyes don't lie.
Also, again, something to question his confidence. So this is multiple things we're seeing here. Is the commentator says, you know, you genuinely believe that these accusations are true or something along those lines. And just before Wilder goes to answer, Fury says he doesn't believe it. You know, he's talking bollocks, whatever that may be. And again, what we see here is two things, a behavioural cluster, where Wilder rubs his knee again, yeah, and then he looks at nothing on his hand. All right, he actually looks at nothing. This is what we call the fake fluff. And you see it all the time. What that person's doing is they are uncomfortable enough to not sit still. They are triggered enough not just to stay put and accept the moment. The rub of the knee is the self-soothe, and then the combined behavioural cluster by looking at, there was nothing on his knee. Yeah, he's been sitting on a chair. He's like, he hasn't moved anywhere. But the fake look at the fake fluff is a body language giveaway for he is highly uncomfortable in that moment. So maybe Fury struck a nerve. Maybe he believes it's not to be true. But he's definitely uncomfortable. The rub of the leg, looking at nothing, the fake fluff, have a look yourself.
Knuckle dusters on my gloves.
Deontay.
He was there.
You clearly believe that these violations truly happened, right? So what steps...
He don't believe that, Kate.
Give me one second.
In his own mind, he don't believe
what
it.
Step? Give me one second.
In his own mind, he don't believe it.
Oh, I'm good on that. Yeah, believing Bruce is on it. Now, this is, I think, for me, from a psychological perspective, when we talk about belief patterns, yeah, cognitive rituals, thoughts and stories that we make up then to create a reality to help us get into our sweet spot, that individualized zone of optimum function, is it's just a throwaway comment that when they're talking about how did the trainers come together and Deontay Wilder's talking about Malik Scott, it just blew me again into the space that his mind works in about why him and Malik Scott are a good team. Now remember, I'm going to look at a thing called placebo here. All right, the placebo effect. You know, you take a sort of section, a cross-section of the population, give 50 people tablets, give 50 people tablets that have got nothing in, and see the effect on them. The placebo effect is really important because if it works, it works. If you think it works, it works. You know, pre-workout protein, maybe it's not protein, but pre-workout, something that gives you extra energy, gives you extra focus, gives you extra drive, all this type of stuff, yeah? The fact is that if you believe it works, it probably will work. Whether you think you can, whether you think you can't, you're probably right, yeah? So this bit was really interesting. The fact that Deontay Wilder said, well, you know, it was just like fate. My birthday and his mum's birthday is the same, and his birthday and my mum's birthday is the same. Well, shit me, Deontay. Like, what more of a qualification do you need? Yeah, do you need? Then you have the same birthday as his mum. He's got the same birthday as your mum. Well, surely that's a partnership made in heaven. You don't need to look anywhere else for anybody. It's interesting.
I'm saying, and that's how it was with him. And fun fact, my birthday and his mother lands on the same day. His birthday and my mother's land on the same day. And
now also this part here, Tyson Fury, this is where the both of them start to get a little bit more energetic, which is great because we hate boring press conferences, don't we, yeah? So when Tyson Fury is starting to agitate Deontay Wilder, you'll see that it triggers, so there's external stimuli via Tyson Fury's narrative. That hits the limbic system. The limbic system produces the adrenaline. And it makes Deontay Wilder feel comfortable enough to start, like he sort of rubs his head. His head just didn't get sore there. He felt uncomfortable enough that he had to react to fill in the gap, to fill in the silence. He couldn't sit still, all right? Brilliant. If I was on that, I would be all over. If I noticed that in the build-up. And this is interesting, okay? A lot of fighters, a lot of coaches, what they'll do is they'll research a fighter by watching how they fight in previous fights. That's not enough. What you need to do if you're going to sort of induce chronic stress into your fighter is you need to watch them in the press conference. You need to watch what triggers them. Yeah, what do they get annoyed with? What verbal, what narrative was being played? How was it being played? How was it delivered? How did they react? Okay, if we can bring that into our preparation as well, you're going to stand a huge chance of impacting your opponent in anything, not just boxing. If you can notice when somebody feels uncomfortable, what was going on, do that more, all right? Do that more. Not, like, hardly anybody that I know talks about that point of preparation. So if there's any elite athletes out there who want to give Believe in Bruce a ring, feel free. And then this one, this is where we've got like quadruple behavioural clusters going on here. This is where Deontay Wilder's lost the plot. This is where Tyson Fury, now he's trying to stay calm, he's trying to be ice outside. But inside there's a rage going on. Inside there's a rage going on. So as Fury's talking, you'll notice again, the leg rub comes in. So we know that's a baseline for Deontay Wilder. You'll then see him with a microphone, he almost starts wobbling. That's the adrenaline, he wants to get his words out. He then starts leaning in towards Tyson Fury. Yeah, leaning in. He's gone from this position that's his baseline to leaning in. And then the last one of the four, is the tongue bite. You'll see his tongue there. Tyson Fury is totally controlling that situation, all right? Totally controlling that situation. So all of the stresses that we've talked about, the leg rubbing, the leaning in, yeah, the belief system, the cognitive thoughts and processes that he's got going on, the fact that Tyson Fury in this particular environment, admittedly, is controlling all his reactions. These are the reasons why I've said I'm so interested. And I believe Deontay Wilder's confidence is at an all-time low. And if Tyson Fury does one thing, drops and punches, like anything that, again, affects Deontay Wilder's confidence, we could see a biblical drop, boom, in Deontay Wilder's performance. The Bronze Bomber's gone. It is gone. If the Bronze Bomber, well, who's going to turn up? Why did he need the Bronze Bomber in the first place? We know Deontay Wilder's got that right hand. Yeah, he's got that get out of jail card. That, if lands on anybody at the right time, it could be a total game changer. But who do I think's going to win? Based on all the evidence that we've got, based on the body language and the psychological background about why they present themselves at that particular time, you'd have to go with Tyson Fury. Hopefully you've liked this video. If you like anything to do with performance psychology, please remember to subscribe below, give us a like, and also have the conviction, have the confidence to put down who you think is going to win and why. If you're interested in some free resources, believeinbruce.com, you can head across there now. And again, I put hits and tips up on Instagram, so you can find me at believeinbruce360. But all that said and done, Believe in Bruce. Please remember to be kind to yourselves and each other.